So I got a chance to head down and check out Luke Scott with LG Scott Landscaping and Tree Service. I got to check out his shop, his yard basically, and the house that he turned into offices and all that, and catch up with him. He's local to me, not too far, in the greater Richmond area, Central Virginia. And he showed me everything, and we also chatted afterwards because we tried to hurry up. I got there late in the day when it was starting to get dark, so we got as much as we could in there, and then we went inside and we recorded a podcast, actually back on episode 2 of the LCR Media Podcast. I'll put the link in the video description here if you want to listen to the full backstory of Luke and how he got started in the industry and how he's been climbing trees since he was 12 years old, how he's got a growing profitable business, landscaping tree service business, how he combines the two and how he does all that. So I had a great conversation with him on that podcast, and I enjoyed looking at his shop, and very inspiring, gives a lot of great ideas for future growth of my business and anyone else's business. Hopefully you guys can get some value out of that.
Well, you saw the front coming in. So this used to be a house. It's obviously still a house. I haven't lived here since 2012.
Oh, okay. So you don't live here?
No, I live in Glenelg.
You're just hanging out waiting for me.
Yeah, and but there's always stuff to do. Right?
Yeah.
And so I have. It's a 3-bedroom house. It's set up now for 3 offices, and so everybody comes in here for work Monday through Thursday. They work a 4-day week. I put them on 5-day weeks to finish out the year because we're behind. Anyway, it's house, office, and we'll go in there and I'll show you everything. So this little shed here is kind of like the irrigation and maintenance shed.
Irrigation and maintenance?
Yep. So just the like a lot of the main power tools are in here, and then this is the irrigation shelf. So this is where we have all our stuff, and it's I'd like to say it's usually more organized. But during the winter, it gets organized, and then it just kind of deteriorates all year.
Wherever I go, even when I was doing a podcast tour with Paul Jameson, the Green Industry Podcast, every time we went to someone's shop or their garage or whatever, everyone's always like, "Oh man, it's a mess, it's a disaster," and it's like, it's not.
I'm not gonna lie.
Like,
this is completely normal.
And
what you see is 100% day in and day out.
But I mean, like it's a working environment, so it's not like you have to have it picture perfect, like Instagram worthy all the time. You know,
there's some things that are pretty squared away around here, and then there's some that's just chaos. So this is this little shed. A neighbor of mine was moving, and for whatever reason, they didn't want to leave this shed when they sold their house. They're like, "Hey, give me $500 for the shed and get it out of there." And I was like, "Yes."
Oh, so you took this shed out and
so we insulated it. So once we're done with all our spray rounds and everything, we'll put our 2 spray tanks in here, and I got a little heater that I turn on, and it stays like 45, 50 degrees.
Nice.
So it works pretty good. Over here is where it really gets real lawn care, landscape stuff. So this is kind of where the building where I work on stuff. I have an employee that sharpens blades and does general maintenance, greasing and stuff like that. But he's not great at real mechanic work. So most of the time he's in and out, and then I'm doing whatever I do in here.
But I mean, like this, depending on how much you're doing, that's just having someone maintenance. Like that's a lot of upkeep.
Friday he balances, sharpens blades, and greases the mowers. Does all the mower stuff. Whatever the seasonal equipment is, we just got done with the aeration season, so he was dealing with that.
And how many accounts do you do for lawn care or mowing?
Oh, that's a good question.
How many crews?
Close to 70 a week.
Okay. So that's good to have somebody to take care of all that, you know, and the maintenance.
And so they go 4 days a week, and then on Fridays he gets everything tuned up for Monday. So this is back corner is like the broken stuff, and then usually in the winter, unless it's something that I have to get fixed right away, in the wintertime I'll sell it on Craigslist or whatever. I've got cheap spreaders that I use for salt when they stop being good enough for seed. So this is like the bay where we pull stuff in.
We'll work on stuff.
And so that's his little sharpening station. He's got the little balancer wheel and the sharpener, and then he's got his socket for pulling the blades off, and the impact, and then the air comes off the roof and all that kind of stuff. So outside I have a big air compressor, so that way we don't have to hear it. It just runs and does its thing. We got little ports all over the place.
Is this functional oil here?
It's grease. It's not the best grease in the world. It's an air grease gun, but it's got a short hose on it. So most of the time we're using this because we can pull that whole hose out, or we'll use the battery one. But a client gave that to me, and it's really cool. And so, if we're just greasing like loader arms and stuff like that, where it doesn't need to be quality grease because you're doing it every day.
Gotcha.
And we'll use that thing, and eventually that drum will be empty, and I'll probably put it on Craigslist.
Nice.
And then in here, I'm not even gonna bother turning the light on in there. Well, I'll turn the light on. It's a disaster. This is like the inner shop where I've just got parts and just crap out the wazoo. So it's terrible. I've got the welders and all that stuff in here because most of the time I fix everything myself. If I'm in a hurry, then I've got, people that will come out and do stuff for me.
Right.
But I'm a decent welder and whatnot, and if you have trailers and equipment, stuff always needs to be welded and fixed.
Gotcha.
And I enjoy doing it as a hobby, so.
That's a dark hole in there.
Yeah, that's
more
where
stuff.
the tools are. I just bought this air conditioner heat unit, and so I'll have heat and air conditioning in here.
Nice.
Which is nice, but that's, then the attic up there, I keep random stuff, just whatever.
You could turn this into like a nice little Halloween adventure or something, a little fun house here.
Yeah, some people definitely get themselves in trouble. So this is, I would say, where the magic happens.
Yeah.
It's not so magical. That's my winter project, is to hopefully, my plan is to just clean this out and get the shelves and everything else so that I can fit more of a vehicle in here now. Usually it's like if we're working on the front, we pull the front in, pull the back in.
Gotcha.
But I'm gonna clean this out, and then over here I've got a guy coming in a couple weeks to do a concrete pad here and do a roof off the top of that, and we're putting in a 4-post lift so that we can rotate tires and change oil a lot easier.
Nice.
We harvest rainwater off those gutters.
Oh, that's what that's for. What do you do with the rainwater?
Mostly it's for my garden.
Mostly it's for your own personal garden?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, might as well. It's free. Go for it.
And so those tanks go underneath those pipes and harvest rainwater. Sometimes I'll use it if I got a job where I got to fill up the sprayer and it's remote or something like that. Then over here, this is mostly the toy bay, but the right side is where the crews have their tools, because generally we try not to leave anything in the back of trucks when it rains.
Okay.
So they check the forecast when they come in at night. If it's going to rain, then stuff comes in and they just kind of check the tools out. It's not really an official process, but they get what they need out of this bay. And then in the back of this one, I've got old refrigerator and freezer, and that's where we keep chemicals in.
Okay.
The deep chest freezer is good because it fulfills the all the liquids go in there, and it fulfills the requirements for having spill containment and also being lockable. We have a padlock on it.
Yeah.
And so then in the upright fridge, they don't work anymore, but we can keep like dispersible granules and stuff like that. And then in the deep freezer, I just put a 40-watt light bulb in there during the wintertime. Keeps everything from freezing.
Okay.
And so it's cheap chemical storage for liquids.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then these are just toys.
Extra stuff, yeah, toys and tank there.
Yeah, so that's pretty much only used for deep root fertilization, and sometimes if we're doing dormant oil or something like that. So that's more of like the ornamental tank, because it just doesn't take very 50 gallons. You can go all day if you're doing ornamentals.
Right.
The turf tank is in the back of one of the trucks. That's 200 gallons, so he can go all day with that.
Gotcha.
Dingo shed is what we call it.
The dingo shed.
Yeah. So we keep the dingo, the DR mower, the ball cart stays in here, and then dingo attachments are around the other side in the lean-to. So it works pretty good. I try to keep, unless something's on a job site, I try to keep it all undercover because stuff's expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
We've had a dumpster for, I don't know, as long as I can remember. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because out here there's not a lot of like curbside service.
Right.
So with having the dumpster, it's mostly for hardscape waste. You come off a hardscape job and you've got a million little slivers of pavers and stuff.
Yeah.
So just being able to stick it right in there, then it gets picked up every week and it's nice.
How do you fill up all your tanks? Where's your water? What water
So
supply?
I've got a
Just
well
from the house?
in that little doghouse looking thing.
Oh,
over there.
yeah. Mhm.
I've got a
Right
well
over there.
on site, and so I can fill up everything with that. And then I don't know if you saw on the way in, there's a place called Schreiber Recycling.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where I dump all my green waste and buy all my mulch.
Oh,
It's
okay.
topsoil. And so where those trees start right there, that's where his property starts and mine ends. So he's literally my next door neighbor. And he's got some really beautiful lakes over there. So if I've got a big hydroseeding job or something like that where it's just going to be a ton of water and I need to fill it quickly, I'll go over there and he's got a 2-inch hose. I can fill up 500 gallons in like 5 minutes.
Wow.
But if it's just the turf tank and just the stuff around here, then we just pump it out of the hose.
Gotcha.
It works good.
Sweet.
The most solid hedge trimmer that I have ever held in my hands, gas or battery. Nothing wiggles, nothing moves. If you know what I mean, you know. 2 points of contact, not 3 with an extra lockout button, just 2 right here. Squeeze the trigger, you go. 2 different levels, low, medium, low and high, and you're good to go. And it just happens to be battery.
That's a pretty nifty setup you got, like with the networking and the connections
Well,
and
and
stuff
then
too.
the other side over there is the sod farm. So that's
Is that where I saw those big sprayers everywhere? I'm like, what the heck's going on over there?
Only Bermuda. Their fescue fields are about 15 minutes away.
Okay.
But there's times when it's great. I'll have a truck picking up mulch next door and a truck
Getting
picking up
sod over
sod right
there.
across the street. So
That is a
it's,
sweet situation right
and then
there.
the Napa is 2 miles away, so it doesn't get much better.
Yeah, seriously. Wow.
So we've got a chip pile there that we generally dump all our chips here on site because oddly enough we sell them. I've got a delivery tomorrow for 10 yards and I sell them for $10 a yard.
Wow, a chipped mulch.
Yeah, it's just wood chips. It's a byproduct. They got to go somewhere, and
That's all, and that's from you doing stuff, and you just dump it here, and then you get to sell it to people. That's awesome.
It degrades, and it people use it for gardens.
You're your own recycling convenience center over here.
It's great. It's great, especially when people pay me because I'll charge them for delivery, and then I charge them for the product, and I just load it up here. And
how do they even know that exists? How do they contact? Like what?
Well,
how did that even
usually
happen?
people get on Google and they find out that something on Google says you need wood chips for whatever their DIY project is. And so then they make the correlation that landscaping tree service, wood chips. That's what.
Oh, so like, hey, do you have any spare wood chips?
They'll call and say, hey, I need wood chips, and then when I tell them, hey, it's only $10 a yard.
Yeah.
And, local deliveries are 90, and so it's great. I'd love to sell the whole pile.
Yeah, seriously.
So we try not to store a lot of stuff here. That is firewood. Sometimes people will come and they'll buy it as logs. I don't split firewood. It just, the economics of it just aren't there. I usually keep some soil and some mulch and stuff here. The property kind of goes down into a valley and then it goes back up. So we just dump stuff here and use it, and then we can, as we need to, just grade
Push it
off.
back, yeah.
And
Gotcha.
so usually when the trucks come in, if they're fully loaded, they go to the recycling.
I was gonna say, so you do still go and dump certain things?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I try not to keep just crap around.
Yeah.
If it's like decent wood or decent mulch or something like that. We keep it.
Gotcha.
We keep some soil here. That's some leftover compost we were using for top dressing during the top dressing aeration season.
Yeah, looks like some mulch still left there.
And then mulch. I try not to keep a lot because it's right next door.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of jobs where you just need a couple yards.
Right, you just come back to shop real quick, grab it, or when you're starting the day, in the morning, just grab it versus going over there and whatever,
The only time we get into a pickle is if I've got all my machines out on jobs, I got nowhere to load it, so I might have it here, but they still want to go in there to get it. Because it just doesn't make sense to.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So then we got the leaf trailer that's gonna start getting busy here pretty soon. That pretty much just stays set up as a leaf trailer. Once leaf season is over, I welded that little cradle for it, so we take one bolt out and it's got little sleeves on those tubes, and we take it off and we put it inside.
Okay.
And then the guys will use that for pruning season.
Oh, okay.
But that's really all we use it for, is just leaves and pruning season, because it's too much of a hassle to take the sides on and off.
Yeah.
And you can't throw over the side or load over the side. So
gotcha.
That's that. But I'm a big fan of dump trailers. I got 3 of them because they're just the best thing going.
Yeah, there's another one right there.
This one here. That kind of hole back there is where we just put like random stuff, some dirty topsoil, dirty mulch, that kind of stuff. And we just push that out, and one day I'll get a sifter in here and turn it into topsoil. But in the meantime, I've got years of area where I can just push it into the hole.
Right.
I try not to keep many plants here. Those were ones that came in on a load from the nursery. I didn't like them, so they didn't get planted. So I'll plant them at my parents' house or here.
There you go. It happens, right? It's better than having an unhappy customer or whatever.
Yeah. There's upsides to just calling the nursery and having them deliver stuff, but there's also an upside to hand picking everything.
Yeah.
So that's the maintenance trailer. We were running an enclosed trailer for a long time, and it just the crew didn't like it.
What was it that they didn't like? It was a little condensed. They were like felt claustrophobic
they felt
in
kind
there,
of
maybe.
Claustrophobic in there. The gas fumes were always terrible.
Yeah,
and
you fire up the mowers.
I liked it because it looked good. It was a rolling billboard, but at the end of the day, whatever makes my guys productive,
right.
And if it's a good employee, makes them happy, as long as it's not unreasonable.
Yeah. Did you tell them about that ramp rack?
Yes, and they really like that.
Oh yeah?
They do.
Nice.
But most of the time they're carrying 3 standers and a push mower, and so the ramp rack is just not quite big enough.
Yeah.
I think eventually we're going to wind up with a cab over with an open bed and the little dovetail thing.
Yeah, when you have 3 mowers, that's your only option other than a trailer. But if you want a trailerless setup, that's where you have to get the Isuzu or whatever and just go for it.
So when the maintenance truck is ready to be replaced, that's what we'll wind up with. So probably another year. Hoping I get 2 years out of it. So another dump trailer, and then just a little utility trailer if you're just going out to do aerations or something like that.
Yeah.
That little guy is handy. And then shipping containers. I love shipping containers. So we've got 2. There's one over there. There's one back here. This one is kind of our seasonal one. We've got our plywood highway stacked up here.
And that's for when you're riding on and off turf, when you're installing any kind of hardscaping or tree work or whatever. You're putting like big equipment with tracks and stuff on there, just for people that might not know about the highway.
I hate it, but it's the difference between rescheduling to a dry day or having to repair turf.
Yeah, getting stuck in the mud or whatever.
So that represents a ton of man hours putting it down and taking it up, but sometimes.
But you have to outweigh, I guess. You have to. It's still better than the alternative, I guess.
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
It is. The mowers will go in here, and they'll just be out of the way. And then I put snow plows in the mower shed. That way, I can park the trucks with the plows out, like undercover. They don't get snowed on, and then so we kind of flip flop the seasonal stuff through here. We got the little aerators already in there. The hydroseeder, the small hydroseeder's back in there. So this is the seasonal bay, and they lime and fertilizer when they're coming and going every day during aeration season. Then that stays in here, and seed. I have a thing for barn red, as you can probably tell.
That's nice. It pops. It looks good.
And then we just store pallets back here. I've got my little hopper there that goes on big hardscape jobs. We can throw all the debris in that hopper and then just pull it off at the end, and it dumps right into the dumpster.
Oh, nice.
And then some of these pallets need to go back to the sod farm. That's like a rain day activity. Some of them I put on Craigslist and sell because people love pallets.
Yeah.
So this chipper, stump grinder, again, undercover. Everything that I own, I feel like is covered in mud right now because we've been going hard, and it's been a rainy fall.
Yeah. So this is a chipper, and this is a massive stump grinder.
It's a 75 horsepower one. We use that as often as we can. It's covered in mud right now because I had it on a job site moving it around with the skid steer because it was just so muddy.
Yeah.
But it goes so much faster. This one's only 35 horsepower. It's great. That one, stump grinding is a speed game.
Yeah.
It's just,
and you can get anything. You don't have to worry about, oh man, the stump is too big for this. Let me get that, or it's taking too long.
That thing's probably easily 5 times faster.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference. So we got the little grinder, and that has its place. This goes on more landscape jobs than it does on tree jobs.
Gotcha.
Because it's nice, you cut down a crepe myrtle or something.
Right,
like that,
and you just bring that in there. You bring that other thing in, people might freak out. What are you doing with this?
It makes a mess, and there's so many places in order to
you
get
can't even get in there.
You got to get a truck to it.
Right.
But this one's 4-wheel drive, and it does fine.
That's cool. 4-wheel drive.
So then this is where the mowing crew keeps all their stuff, obviously. Aerator, mowers, spreaders. We've got a top dresser back there. Then the tow behind compressor for blowing out irrigation. I gotta start that next week. Like I said, this bay will mostly go inside that shipping container, and the snow plows will go in here.
Gotcha. It's that seasonal swap out.
Yep.
So you got the Z plugger there.
Yep. That's the old school one. I think that's 2010. But it works great. I love it. Parts are easy to get. I got to deal with SDI now on parts because I guess Exmark bought LT Rich, but they're super helpful. And top dressing is a huge money maker, and it's not only a money maker. It makes a huge difference. Like if I ride around and look at the lawns that my guys just plugged and seeded versus the ones they top dressed, it is night and day difference. I've got a Kubota that's on a job. And then
that normally sits here.
Yeah, that normally sits here, and so
the Kubota's like sitting on the job. I see that a lot, right?
Yeah.
You guys hardscaping and things like that.
I was using it today. We got a big grading job going on, and so it's there tilling in a bunch of compost, and then we'll power rake it next week and do irrigation inside and all that stuff. But so skid steer and Kubota live here. I was this close to selling that and buying a new one this year, but with all of the EPA stuff. Another shipping container. So this is our palletized stuff. So we've got some Sackcrete in there, we've got ice melt in there, we've got the Flex Terra mulch for the hydroseeder, all that stuff is in there. I've got a 3-point hitch boom sprayer. And then all the way at the other end are my kayaks.
Wow, you can fit a lot in there.
Yeah, it's great. They're the cheapest storage you can buy. So we'll just take the skid steer, put a pallet there, then use the pallet jack and move stuff for you.
Yeah. And you got a whole bunch of trucks here, huh?
Yeah, this is the truck lineup. I'm pretty much a General Motors guy. Everything here is GMC or Chevrolet, except for the 5-ton truck. That's International. The enclosed trailer back there, that's the hardscape trailer. So that's got the plate compactors and the IQ saw and all that kind of stuff in there.
So this is the tank you were talking about here?
Yep.
200 gallon.
That's the maintenance guy's truck. So my crew leader on the maintenance crew is also the spray tech. So typically on Fridays, he comes in and sprays, or if he's out on his route, he'll spray some stuff. And so that sprayer lives in there for 9-10 months out of the year, and then we put it inside the little shed where it doesn't freeze.
And here's the hardscape trailer.
I think that's the same one you had, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, Proline. Yeah, what is it, 7x16?
Yep.
It's the exact same trailer as me. Sweet. You got this bad boy.
Rental.
Oh.
We had a job because the Kubota was on a job, and I needed to do some, backhoe digging stuff, so the guys had that today.
Gotcha.
This little carport here, these are all Bobcat attachments. So again, undercover, I don't like rain.
Yeah.
So a couple different grapples, a 4-way bucket, a snow plow, a forestry mower, and then that thing on the other side is a little shear. So it's good for cutting off small trees, ripping out fence posts, whatever. You can use it for 1,000 different things.
Yeah.
So that's all this stuff stays in here. And then those are just stake sides for the little dump truck. So sometimes we take the sides off so we can just use it as a flatbed.
Gotcha.
This is all 3-point hitch stuff. So this is all the Kubota attachments. Bush hog and pallet forks and the snow box and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then typically that power rake that's over there is under here as well. This old creature was my mud truck when I was 16 years old.
It's a classic right there.
Yeah. It's, it needs to find a home. I don't know what I'm going to do with that.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Again, was rushing down there before it got dark the other day so that I could try and capture, while he had time in his busy schedule. He was waiting for me to get there, so I was trying to hurry up and get there before dark so we can look at everything, and hopefully you guys were inspired like I was to learn everything there and see how a growing landscape and tree service company does what they do, and how they lay everything out and how they get organized and where they stage all their equipment and all that, all the insights with all that. The whole point for me is to try and share these stories to help you guys grow, help myself grow as well, selfishly enough. But again, check out the full story on the podcast, episode 2, the LCR Media Podcast. The link is in the video description. Hope you guys checked it out. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.